it's a big question, but I know that you have a very relevant point of view on that.
Yeah, well, the first thing, Antonio, for your clients who listen to this, is that you need to think beyond each quarter when making long-term investment decisions. That's number one. Because if you get stuck into thinking quarter by quarter, especially when it comes down to your macro long-term strategic decisions, then you're going to miss out on a lot of vital intelligence because you're thinking so short-term. Because the world doesn't evolve in quarter by quarter basis, not as neat as that. So that's the first thing. And as it relates to Russia, I think that's a perfect example, because this war happened last year. And when you have a situation with a financial and business relationship like the EU and Europe, wider Europe with Russia, it was very integrated, especially Eastern Europe or the east of Europe, including Germany also. They had a very entrenched relationship with Russia, be it energy supplies, be it trade and infrastructure, be it knowledge sharing, a number of different innovations and a number of different projects that were happening between Europe and Russia. And when Russia invaded, that put a stop to a lot of projects, which many European businesses lost out on, because a lot of their main markets, especially when it comes time to the sale of infrastructure projects, and hardware to the energy sector in Russia, was completely cut. So they needed to find new markets to obviously export their goods and services. In the same time, Europe was facing, and has been facing for a long time, a increased energy crisis within Europe. But when Russia invaded, again, it was a chance for a forced decision to pivot away from Russian supply of energy, especially when it comes time to Eastern Europe again, or the east of Europe. So by force, Europe had to find other partners to forge energy relations with, which caused a lot of problems for short-term stock supply, especially during the winter months. And also it raised the cost of energy. And these things are still happening, although not to the intensity that they happened before, towards the beginning of the conflict. This is still going on. Inflation in Europe is also very high. Interest rates are also going higher. The cost of living in Europe is going very high. Germany is in a technical recession, caused again in some part by COVID, but a lot of it caused by the first, secondary, and tertiary impacts of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which isn't a good thing. But this, I think, gave also opportunities for other suppliers of energy to come into the picture. Morocco with Italy, the UAE providing gas, and also America trying to be a supplier of energy to Europe also. And I think this does a bad thing because, again, in the short term, it hurts Europe. But in the long term, hopefully this will mean that Europe's energy security will be much more resilient. Us as a company, you mentioned I run a company called Pareto Economics, and we're actually in the process. This is sort of a world exclusive. We're actually developing our first energy security index. So we are measuring 194 countries on their energy security. And next year, we're hosting a summit in partnership with Parliament, where we'll be showcasing our results. And Antonio will be there, I'm sure. And he's free to invite some of his key clients too. So that's my general thoughts, macro thoughts on the situation. This will cause damage and has caused damage to Europe in the short and midterm. But hopefully in the long term, this will have many different opportunities for other players to supply energy to Europe to, again, make sure that their energy supplies and their energy security is much more robust, because they got lazy over the last 30 years and now they need to face the music, and they have.
Well, definitely.